Hi guys, I'm Aidan from GTG Coaching. So today I'm going to go over something called developing a fitness filter. So basically trying to understand whether or not something works or whether or not you're being sold to, and the concept or the program or the product that's being sold to you will work, or whether or not it's a bunch of rubbish basically. So there's a few things to think about within this idea. I'm going to give you some guidelines just to help you filter out what works and what doesn't, and some things to aim for. It's all going to come down to whether you have a general goal or a specific goal as to how much of this you need to pay attention to. But we'll go through the first 2 points anyway. The main thing to look for is whatever the product is, the program, the concept, does it focus on one single aspect or one tool as the answer for everything, the answer and the be all end all to everything. Okay, so most things will rely on the fact of using multiple tools to achieve a goal, that there is no one single thing that works. The next thing is repackaging concepts and developing misconceptions. So has something been around for a while? Has it been tried and tested? And is it being repackaged and resold? And are some misconceptions being developed around it? So the first 2 points, I've given a couple of examples here. So we've got HIIT, high intensity interval training, clean eating, and strength training. So HIIT, which is basically just bouts of intense exercise interspersed with periods of much lower intensity exercise done back to back, is an idea to help improve fitness levels, cardiovascular output, things like that. And it can be done as well with resistance training, so you can get some pretty good benefits in terms of gaining muscle mass, those kinds of aspects. However, it is not the be all end all. So a lot of the times, especially currently, this is sold as the answer to fat loss, muscle gain, everything. It can be a very enjoyable thing to engage in, but more recently than not, it's oversold, and it basically is circuits repackaged. Okay, circuits been around for a really, really long time. They now usually are called HIIT training or HIIT workouts, which is a wee bit of a red flag considering that HIIT stands for high intensity interval training. So if someone calls it HIIT training, be aware, or a HIIT workout, be aware. The next thing is clean eating. So this idea was basically based around the concept of eating nutritious foods that were high in vitamins and minerals, as opposed to foods that were basically just junk calories, not very nutritious, not exactly an awful lot of vitamins and minerals in them. So it was to give that kind of concept and that idea that make most of your diet up with nutritious foods that are high in vitamins and minerals or healthy. Junk calories aren't necessarily unhealthy unless you overconsume them. You don't eat enough nutritious foods, you overeat your calories, that kind of idea. This then branched off into being clean eating, which is good foods versus bad foods, which then made this an aspect of a completely different concept that people started demonizing food groups, things like this that usually happens. So it started focusing on good foods versus bad foods and repackaging a concept and then establishing misconceptions. Strength training, the same idea. So basically strength training just depends on a starting point. So what it is starting off someone from a certain point and getting to adapt and get stronger. That can be anything. So if you're not used to running, when you start running, it's technically strength training, okay? This then got repackaged into what used to be toning, which is weightlifting, lifting some weights. Resistance training is being strength training. Strength training is quite a broad term, but this has been repackaged to be like a specific thing that someone tries to focus on. I'm engaging in strength training. Well, strength training really can be anything. Okay, if your goal is quite general, so what I mean by that is you're aiming to get a sweat on during your sessions, you're basically aiming to de-stress, and you exercise in terms of you work out. So each session it starts and stops where it is. It's not part of a progressive program. Then these 2 first points are important whenever you're trying to determine whether you're engaged in something that's worthwhile or not. The main things to focus on are that you're open to the process with your engaging in it, or you can be open to it, you trust what's going on, and also consistency and adherence. Being open to the process and being missold to are quite difficult. You can, if someone's misselling you something, you could buy into something that maybe isn't entirely true. There's some misconceptions. So that's in the part of the person who is delivering that. And then with you, it's a case of, can you be consistent and adherent with it? And if you are, that's one of the main fundamental aspects of getting results or getting somewhere, getting progress, is being consistent and adherent to it. So taking high intensity interval training as an example, which is usually done in a class structure, engaging in that class, say 2 to 3 times a week, being consistent and adherent with it because you enjoy it, it's something that you can stick to and follow, you're open to the process, usually means that you will change a lot of stuff at the same time in your lifestyle to help you get results, maybe lose some body fat, gain some muscle, things like that. It would depend. If it's a specific goal that you're aiming for, a shotgun approach and general approach usually isn't the best way to go about things. At that point, you want something that's tailored towards what you're trying to do and will be optimal, getting you towards the goal that you're trying to achieve. So for this case, something to look out for is what you're engaging in. Does it follow a progressive structure? Is it causing you to have to adapt and challenge yourself? Because basically your body is adaptive. And the next thing is it sustainable? Can you see yourself doing it long term? Especially when it comes down to nutrition aspects, is this sustainable? If it's a specific approach you're looking for, then you need something that's tailored towards the goal that you're aiming for to make it more or less optimal, or less of a shotgun approach, less of just seeing what sticks. So for there, a couple of things to really watch out for or look for is, does it follow a progressive structure? Does it make your body, or you adapt to it? Because basically you are adaptive, your body is adaptive. As it constantly challenging you? And is there a plan that you have to stick to? And the next thing is it sustainable? So can you see yourself doing it long term? Consistency and adherence. So that's really, really key. There are definitely exceptions to this rule, but overall, when it comes to your fitness filter, these are some things to look out for. A specific approach can integrate something like HIIT again, or a certain way of structuring nutrition, but it is a tool. It is not the be all and end all. And really the same thing kind of carries forward with a general approach. If you're looking to engage in just general workouts and exercise sessions, that bit of a shotgun approach, then high intensity interval training and classes can be a great option, but they are not the be all and end all, and they do not basically cater for and solve every single goal and issue. So these are the main things to look for whenever it comes to having a fitness filter and trying to determine whether or not you're being sold rubbish, or whether it's something that is genuinely going to get results and is being advertised or marketed with honesty and a sense of integrity.